Today, I'm sitting down with quarterback Matthew Baer, a CDS athlete I've trained since elementary school. His path has moved from Georgia to Texas, back to Forsyth County at Denmark High School, and now he's reclassing and heading to Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. We're talking transfers, development, leadership, and the mentality it takes to keep showing up when the story changes mid-season. Matthew, great to have you on the show. First team mentality. How you doing?
Doing great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Baer, when you think back to 4th and 5th grade when training at CDS, what parts of your identity as an athlete started to form back then?
I would say two things. I would say my passion and love for the game, and I would also say my competitiveness. Say passion because, going out there every single day, I started realizing what I really wanted and who I wanted to be as an athlete and as a football player. And I would say competitiveness because every single day I had something to prove. I had to go out there and work as hard as I could just to, prove who I was and, get my name out there and expose myself and just get better in general.
You left GA for Texas in middle school. What did that move teach you about adapting on the field and off the field?
I would say on the field was a lot different. It was Texas. It's a lot different. We had a 7th grade team and an 8th grade team. And on the 7th grade team, we had an A, B, and C team. 8th grade team, we also had an A, B, and C team. So I'd say, the competitiveness was a lot higher than in Georgia for middle school, at least. Okay. I would say, there's a lot more kids. It's just a lot more competitive football-wise in middle school for that part. I would say off the field, it was challenging because it was during COVID times. It was hard to go in school and make friends because we were online that year. So I just went in day one. We had football practice. I didn't know anyone. So adapting to that and being able to come in first day and try to be a leader and try to, find your people was tough. But, I think it helped me adapt to just change in general.
Well, coming back to Forsyth and playing quarterback at Denmark High School, what was it like to be the backup your sophomore year on the team?
I would say, first of all, it was tough, sitting on the bench. I was able to go in the game a couple of times, which is awesome. And, I was able to, learn a lot from that. And I think it was a big opportunity to just, learn from a senior quarterback who's been playing varsity for 3 or 4 years. I think that was a huge opportunity. And, I learned a lot from that. And I think it was a great year for development for me, at least. Yes,
sir. Development is very important. As a QB, your evolution to quarterback. So you've played some different positions, Baer. Can you tell us about some of the different positions that you've played?
Man, I started football when I was 5 or 6. I've played center, guard, tackle, linebacker, receiver, running back. I've played it all. I've tried every position.
You didn't always want to play QB. What made you commit to playing quarterback, and when did you know this was your spot?
So 7th grade year, I was still a tight end, defensive end. After that year, going into 8th grade, off season, I think it was January, February. I remember I was working with one of my he was a speed trainer / football coach that would work with us. And, he was like, you kind of throw the ball well. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just a tight end, whatever. And he was like, let's try you out at quarterback. I knew that I was able to make it happen. I didn't know until I would say freshman year that this is what I really wanted, but we just got rolling. We started training right when I knew I was going to be a quarterback in 8th grade. And ever since then, just never looked back.
Man, that's tight end?
Tight end, played some linebacker. Yeah, crazy change.
Yeah, man. Listen, Baer, you've been described as a never giving up type of athlete. What does that look like on a random Tuesday when no one's watching? How's your character?
You always got to be the same person. You can't, just step off the gas pedal when no one's watching you. You always got to be on the go-getter mindset, and you can't ever give up.
So, Baer, let's just say we have a breakdown in the game. We have a bad play. How do we get our team to bounce back?
Man, you got to be a leader, especially as a quarterback. You can't show weakness. You can't show that you're flustered. That's a big thing as a quarterback. Your teammates are relying on you in a lot of big-time scenarios. So you got to make sure that you're just calm and relaxed and, let them know that you're there for them and that you're going to make it happen.
There you go. It's important as a quarterback, you kind of got to be even keel, not too high, not too low. That's good. Speaking about leadership, how do you earn trust in a new locker room?
I'd say trust isn't earned through words. Trust is earned through actions. I would say, making sure you're there for your teammates, making sure you're there on time, that you're early, that you're doing everything right. You're doing all the right things just so your teammates can trust you. It's not easy to, just earn trust, but I think it's a big thing, not just saying words and I would say, not just saying words, but making sure that you're showing those actions so that they really know that you're there for them.
Because sometimes just showing up on time, those are things that you can do without the ball in your hand. And those actions, those athletes, your teammates, they see you doing those things and it makes them want to be better as well. Let's talk about the transfer. We went from Texas, we came back to Georgia, and now we're moving on to Avon Old Farms. Transferring schools can be a bit controversial. How has moving affected your play, the timing with the receivers, the system that you have to fit into, and your confidence?
I would say it affects the play because, you have totally different coaches. You have a different system that you're in, a different playbook. So it's being able to adapt to that. And I think, transferring to Texas and then back here and now up to Avon Old Farms, I think it's helped me, adapt and, understand what change is. I think that's really helped me. But with the receivers and, chemistry and timing, obviously that's something that you have to work on a lot. It's a lot of reps.
Right.
I'm going up to camp in 2 days. So that's, one of those things that we're going to have to work really heavily on because we have first game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't have time like the other public schools. They have the whole summer. We have a bunch of guys coming from the whole country.
Yeah.
We can't be up there every single day in the summer. A couple days here and there, we're able to go up there and work out. But, it's something that we're going to really have to, work on. So I think we'll be able to get it done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why Avon Old Farms? Why choose Avon?
Coach Hooley. Coach Hooley reached out.
Yeah.
I remember I was not looking to transfer or for any school. I remember Coach Hooley reached out on Twitter. He's, interested in my film and, he really liked me and everything that I did last year. And he was really excited about me. And he started just teaching me about Avon and all the different things. He wanted to set up a call and I was like, okay, this is interesting. I was able to get the opportunity to reclass, which I thought was a big thing, given that my junior year, I had a stress fracture in my back that, hurt my play a lot. I just think getting the extra year of development to better myself, to be ready for college was huge. So I would say being able to be developed, Coach Hooley, who he is, what he's done, I'm all for it. I want to play for him. I'm really excited with my new teammates and everything about Avon. When I stepped in Avon, it's a really special place. And I just knew that it was there for me.
That's awesome, man. That's very important when you're going down there to play football because you kind of need some type of sense of feeling like at home because you're so far away and you got to get out there and it's time to handle business. It's go time now. And that's for all the athletes all around the world or at least around America. It's go time. Baer, walk us through a QB development week that works for you. Film, footwork, throwing sessions, recovery. What does a quarterback development week look like for you?
Well, I'd say speed training wise, I work with you 3 times a week, no matter what. We go
sir.
Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday, no matter what, every single week. So speed, footwork, getting mobile, that's something that we do. And I'll also work, when we're not going, I'll make sure that I get some of those exercises in as well, just to, keep my hips good, keep my shoulder good. So I'm always throwing and I'm just smooth and flexible. I would also say throwing wise, off season, making sure, depending on what season it is, winter, I'm ramping it up a good amount, working on mechanics. And then summer, what we're doing, we're more or less working on routes and concepts and everything, making sure that we're ready for in-game stuff, working in-game type moments. So I'd say working out 3-4 times a week, making sure I'm always throwing and getting footwork in, and I'm making sure I'm lifting about 3 times a week, just 3-4 times a week, just to make sure that, I'm always developing. And I would say I'm also doing with my QB trainer 1 or 2 times a week, we're doing film sessions.
Okay.
So what that looks like, we'll go over both. We'll do half and half. We'll go over NFL film. So we'll look at a quarterback, whether it's, Brady, or we'll look at Jared Goff, Josh Allen, some of the QBs, that I kind of like to play like. Okay. And then the other half will go over my film. So what do I need to work on? We look at concepts that I'm going over with my film. What do we need to change? What was I looking at? Pre-snap, post-snap, we'll go over all those certain aspects just so we can, strengthen my game and my mindset.
And now a quick word from our partners that made today's show so special. Would you like to advertise here? I'm Tim Buckley with Creative Dynamic Sports. Each week, this show reaches dedicated student athletes and the parents and coaches who support them. People invested in speed, strength, recovery, and mindset. If your brand helps athletes perform, recover, learn, or live better, let's partner up. Sponsors get a host read feature inside each episode, logo on the screen, and a link in the description, and shout outs all across our shorts and community posts. If you would like to inquire about getting your ad placed on one of these episodes, make sure you use the QR code and send us an email so that we can send you all the details. We hope to hear from you soon. Yes, sir. Now, go ahead and give a shout out to your QB coach. We want to know what's his name, where's he from? Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, man. Shout out Amir Scaife. That's my QB trainer and developer right now.
Amir.
Yeah, I've been working with him for a good amount of time now, probably 8-9 months right after the junior season.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of great things, developed me. He's from North Carolina. That's where he played in high school. Okay. Coach P, my old head coach, was his coach as well. So that's how I kind of was able to connect with him.
Yeah.
He's also a lefty like me, Southpaws.
Yeah.
Shout out Southpaws. But he's done a great job. He went to Georgia State as a quarterback, full ride scholarship guy. He played there, and I know he transferred out of there, and he played some tight end. But he's been great for me for sure.
Okay, that's good. Shout out to Amir, man. One of your favorite drills that y'all do on QB training days. Name one of your favorite drills that y'all do.
He always kills me with the ladder, and then he'll set up 4 cones, and he'll have me slide through them. Either I'll be in the middle, he'll point to a cone, and I'll be sliding to those cones, and then after that he'll call ball call, and then he'll clap. And then we'll have a receiver run in a different direction. I'll have to react off of it and throw that. I'd say I like that drill a lot just because of reaction, footwork. It kind of has all that, all those aspects that I like a lot. So I'd say that drill for sure.
Family, your family. Baer, who's in your corner? Who's in your corner?
I would say my mom, Christine. My mom, I would say Coach Keevan, my godfather, Keevan Henry. I met him when I was 5-6 years old, and he was just one of my coaches. And, I remember as a defensive end, and he played defensive end in the league, and he played college ball.
Okay.
And so
Where'd he play in the league?
Yeah, so he went to Mississippi State. He played 4 years there. He was a defensive end, and then he went on, got drafted in the 4th round to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
And so he played there for 9 years.
And what's his name again?
Keevan Henry.
Keevan Henry.
Keevan Henry.
All right.
Shout out Coach Keevan. I still call him Coach, even though he's my godfather now. I still call him Coach. Yeah, my mom, Coach Keevan. Say Coach Mark up in Texas. That was my speed trainer and kind of a football coach. He was kind of a hybrid up in Texas. He did a lot of things for me recruiting wise, and he's family now. We'll visit each other, and I'll go up there and train for a week or so in Texas. Coach Taylor, that was my other QB coach up in Texas too. He's like a brother to me, big brother to me. Let's say you, Coach Tim. Shout out Coach Tim. You've done a lot for me. I've known you since I was in elementary school. That's my corner right there right now. And then Coach Amir too. Coach Amir too.
Coach Amir. Baer, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Would you say that Keevan has definitely had some type of influence on your decision making?
Absolutely, especially with the move to Avon. He's made a lot of big impacts and decisions for me just because I see him as a father figure.
Yes, sir.
I grew up without a father in the house, and he kind of took on that role for me. I look up to him. That's my guy. And, he made a big decision with me. As a family, we kind of made that decision that I would go up to Avon. He made a big impact on, we went over the positives, the negatives, everything. And, going over it together, there's a lot more positives than negatives for it. And, he really helped me go through that, and we went over the smart things and everything, the whole entire thing. We went over everything, all the research. So he's been a big role for that.
Yes, sir. Matthew, I'm proud of your growth and the way that you keep showing up. If a younger athlete is listening and they're unsure of their path, what's one piece of advice that you could give them?
Keep going.
Keep going.
I would say keep going. Never give up. Never quit. If this is something that you really love and that you really want, there's no reason to look back and look in your past and try to go a different way. I would say always follow your dreams. Never give up on your path because, You know, you never know what you could have been. You know, you don't want to regret something that you didn't go some certain way, so you regret it. You don't want to do that. You just, never give up.
Yes, sir. And listen, Matthew, in closing today, I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, I'm proud of you. Good luck at Avon Old Farms. Let's call it a day, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.